Hey, so you're thinking of moving to O'Fallon, Missouri? Well, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss the pros and cons of living in O'Fallon, Missouri. If you are new to the channel, this is Living in STL, Missouri, where we discuss everything there is to know in the market of living in St. Louis, Missouri and the surrounding suburbs. But today we're going to focus on O'Fallon and kind of go through what it looks like pros and cons wise to live here in this city. I do want to start by saying I myself live here in O'Fallon. I've lived here for the majority of my life, so I feel like I know it pretty well and I can kind of go through it. I did take a few notes, so you might see me glancing down because I just didn't want to forget anything that I wanted to share with you today. So let's just start with the number one thing that people want to know when they're moving to O'Fallon, Missouri. Schools, activities, and jobs. Those are the three main things. So the first thing I do want to talk about is average home price. So you can get anything here in O'Fallon between, I would say, as low as the 200s all the way up if you wanted to spend $1 million. Like, you could do that. But the average home price here in O'Fallon is about $365K, which is pretty good. So it is trending up, and there are different styles of homes, and I do mention that in another video that I do, which is a neighborhood vlog tour of O'Fallon, where you can actually see 3 different homes and 3 different price points, and I take you through those in the neighborhood. So if you want to do that, hop on over to that video and you can go along for the ride there. The other thing I want to talk about is schools. So we have some of the top rated schools in O'Fallon in the state of Missouri. So the number one schools I believe are going to be in like Ladue, Clayton, but O'Fallon has top ranked 8 out of 10. So we have Francis Howell, we have Fort Zumwalt. Those are going to be your top schools. And then centrally located in St. Charles. So when you see when you hear St. Charles, people are talking about the city of St. Charles or the county. So O'Fallon is in the county of St. Charles. And within St. Charles, you have Wentzville, you have St. Peters, you have St. Charles, you have Darden Prairie, you have Lake St. Louis. That's all within drivable distance of O'Fallon, which is fabulous. And then it's consistently ranked in the top 10 safest cities in Missouri, which I think is very important. If you want to move your family here to this area, what is the safety, right? When you typically hear St. Louis, you don't hear about safety, but O'Fallon is one of the safest suburbs here in the state outside of St. Louis. And so that's fabulous. We love hearing that. We've grown exponentially here in the O'Fallon area. A lot of families have been moving in as well, so we love seeing that. We also love to support our public safety, our police officers, things like that. And so the O'Fallon Police Department and the City of O'Fallon officially received the Missouri Blue Shield designation, which means we have demonstrated a steadfast commitment to enhancing public safety and supporting our law enforcement. So we really do love our law enforcement here in O'Fallon. We also have a really cool O'Fallon law enforcement building as well that just went up within the last I think 5 or 6 years. And then let's review the top employers, because that's the number one thing. You're like, okay, if I move to O'Fallon, do I have to like drive downtown or somewhere else to work? No, you do not. So our major employers are going to be MasterCard, Citi, Air Evac Life Support, so the helicopters that will take patients to and from different hospitals or accidents, things like that. And then we have Progress West Hospital here in O'Fallon. We have Car Shield, which is a big one, and then SAK Construction is also a top employer here in O'Fallon. Now, if you want to drive downtown for your employment, you're looking at about 30 to 40 minutes, which is not too bad commute-wise. But if you wanted to work and live here in O'Fallon, you 100% can do that. Outdoor recreation. We have the Katy Trail, which is one of the longest trails here in the Midwest that you can bike, you can hike, you can get to in various locations. We also have Fort Zumwalt Park. I talk about that in multiple O'Fallon videos. They've got playgrounds, they've got frisbee golf, they've got a fishing lake in there, they do holiday lights. We have Civic Park, which is more centrally located in downtown O'Fallon. In that park, they do have some trails pavilions, they do live music as there as well. And then attached to it or close by is going to be where, if you like to swim, the public pool is there. And then one of the other parks that we like is O'Day Park. It's going to be closer down DD Highway, so southern O'Fallon. They've got water features there. They've got a lot of climbing activities if you have older kids. I think you can also camp there as well, which is really cool if you're into camping. And then Dames Park. So if you like to walk, you don't want trails, you don't want anything that is really like hard to do, or you want to take your kids on a bike ride. It's got nice flat circular areas. There's soccer there, there's pickleball, there's 2 play grounds as well. And you can rent pavilions for birthday parties. So that's going to be in North O'Fallon. The other thing I want to talk about is churches. Another big thing, if you're growing a family, is you may want to go to church. And so we have over 20 different churches that you can choose from here in O'Fallon as well, which I think is fabulous. All different denominations or non-denominations, whatever you choose. And then hospitals, we have 3 major hospitals here as well. I think that's a plus. But also, you're only a straight shot down 40 if you want to go to one of the children's hospitals as well. One of the major hospitals for children is not that far away. And then it's a decent commute to St. Louis County. So if you like Clayton, 364, Chesterfield, those type of things, if you work in those areas, but you want to live in O'Fallon for the amenities, it's really not that far away. And then you have easy access to the St. Charles Community College. So it's only about 10-15 minutes away. So if you have a kiddo in college, community college, or yourself are there and you're renting in O'Fallon, it's not that far. I want to talk about the cons. I'm not blind to some of the cons that can be here in O'Fallon, but I just quickly want to go through those as well and put a nice little maybe positive spin on those for you. So O'Fallon is really big on chain stores and chain restaurants. So if you're driving down the main drag, which is Highway K, you're going to see all the major department stores, all the major food chains. We are big in that. So if you're looking for more boutique-y type of things, that's going to be up north maybe in more of the Main Street O'Fallon. They are trying to make that bigger and better with some of the boutique stuff. They have quite a few that you can choose from there. But then that also leads me to limited walkability. So if you hear big chains, there's not a lot of walkability. You can walk up and down Highway K if you want to. There are some sidewalks that I see people jogging with their strollers and things on. I'm not a fan of the major highway kind of walking, but you can do that if that is your thing. But you can more so do that in the northern part of O'Fallon. And then there's no public transport. I, for one, kind of see that as a pro, but you might see that as kind of a con if you need public transport. That is not available here in O'Fallon. And then Highway K is we coined it Highway Chaos. During the heavy times, it is quite chaotic to get up and down, but there are some workarounds. You can go Bryan Road, which is another parallel road that goes through Highway K, and then you can also take some back roads if you want to, but Highway K is that main drag. It's probably the quickest way, even though it feels horrible to sit in traffic. Is designated to be one of the friendlier communities for cyclists and walkers. So I did talk about limited walkability, but the City of O'Fallon is working on making that happen for us, which leads me to our next point. We have quite a bit of construction happening in the northern O'Fallon area to make it more accessible to some of the outdoor activities that you may want to partake in. So we are hearing you, we are doing that, we are working on it, so it's coming. And then I would say it's not great for the professionals that might want to go out to the bars or cultural events or social scenes, things like that. That's not going to be O'Fallon. There are some bars, there are some hangout spots that you can go to if you want to, but if it's big on that scene, I would say probably not. But maybe that's just me because I'm not a bar person. I don't do that kind of scene. And then the commute downtown during rush hour is probably awful. However, there is that 364 extension that you can work around most of that traffic with. But if you just want a straight shot down 70 or 40, you will be sitting in some traffic coming home or going to work. So that about wraps it up. Just some of the quick things that we might talk about, pros and cons of living in O'Fallon. Definitely a pro that it's growing in the family aspect and the community of wanting to foster those things. But then it can be a con, now that we're working on it, some of the road work and construction that is happening. But we are up and coming. We are one of the largest growing family communities. And to me, that's a plus. It's a safe neighborhood and you can definitely, thrive here in the area, whether you're single or you have a family. And as always, if you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, you can reach out to us. My contact information is below. I do work on a team. And so feel free to call, text, or email, and we will reach out to you and we'll get you started. Thank you so much.